Welcome to our podcast. Today, we're diving deep into ecology, a word that many of us have heard, but what does it really mean? Let's break it down. Ecology is the study of the relationship between organisms and their environment. So it's like the backstage pass to our natural world, mingling with everything from the tiniest bacteria to towering trees.
That's right. And when we talk about the environment, it's essential to understand the term ecosystem. An ecosystem encompasses not only the community of organisms, which includes plants and animals, but also their physical surroundings. You can picture a grassland, a vibrant ecosystem teeming with life.
Absolutely. And when we look further into our planet, we discover the biosphere. That's the part of Earth where life is found. Think of it as a delicate layer of life that wraps our planet. It includes the land, waters, and atmosphere. Isn't it amazing how it all comes together?
Speaking of coming together, let's talk about habitats. A habitat is the specific place where an organism lives. Each organism, be it a majestic oak tree or a swift rabbit, has its special spot that provides the resources it needs.
Exactly. And within that habitat, we find communities, which are groups of animals and plants that share resources. Just like us at a dinner party, different species mingle, share, and sometimes compete for food, light, and space.
Now, speaking of competition and relationships, it's fascinating to delve into the food chain. This is all about interdependence, how living organisms rely on one another to survive. Each link in the chain is called a trophic level, starting with our green friends, the producers, which create their own food through photosynthesis.
And as we move up the chain, we meet the consumers. The first level above producers are the primary consumers, usually herbivores like rabbits. And then we have secondary consumers, the carnivores, which eat the primary consumers. It's a massive game of catch, eat, and be eaten.
Right. And to give our listeners a visual, you can imagine food webs as complex networks of food chains. It's like a spider's web, delicate yet strong. A disruption to one part can impact the entire web.
Now, let's dive into a concept that not everyone might be familiar with: niche. In ecology, a niche refers to the specific role or job an organism has within its environment. For example, a plant's niche is to produce food, while predators maintain the balance by controlling populations of other species.
Exactly. And speaking of balance, we can't ignore the roles of different types of consumers in the ecosystem. We have herbivores, which eat plants, carnivores that feast on meat, and omnivores that enjoy a diverse menu of both plants and animals. It's like a buffet of survival.
Now, let's shift gears to two fascinating relationships: parasitism and symbiosis. In parasitism, one organism benefits at the expense of another. A classic example is the liver fluke, which lives in and feeds off sheep. Not very friendly, right?
Not at all. But then we have symbiosis, which is the opposite. Here, two different species benefit from each other. Think of the bacteria in our intestines that help us digest food while getting a safe place to live. It's a win-win.
So interesting. Now let's touch on a critical topic: population dynamics. The population of a species is the number of organisms of the same species living in a particular area. Factors affecting these populations include abiotic factors, like temperature and soil conditions, and biotic factors, such as competition and predation.
That's a great segue. Abiotic factors are the non-living environmental components. Think air temperature, soil pH, and water content. Each of these elements can drastically affect population sizes. For instance, soil pH influences plant growth, which directly affects herbivores that depend on those plants.
And don't forget about biotic factors. These are living factors such as competition and predation. Competition can be intense. There are two types: contest competition, where one organism wins a resource, and scramble competition, where resources are shared among those involved.
Exactly. And then we have predation, where the predator catches and kills its prey. This relationship controls population sizes and keeps ecosystems balanced. For instance, foxes preying on rabbits manage their populations over time.
And it's not just about the chase. Organisms have adapted incredible traits for survival. Rabbits have speed and camouflage to escape, while foxes boast sharp teeth and agility for catching prey. It's an ongoing dance of adaptation and survival.
Now let's explore two critical cycles, the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. They play a vital role in maintaining ecological balance. The carbon cycle involves the movement of carbon in different forms, including carbon dioxide, through various processes, mainly involving plants and animals.
That's right. Plants absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, which is their way of making food. But we also release carbon back into the atmosphere through respiration and decomposition, which is crucial for maintaining this balance. Too much carbon, unfortunately, leads to global warming.
And the nitrogen cycle is equally fascinating. It's how nitrogen in the atmosphere is converted into forms that animals can use to build proteins necessary for life. Bacteria play a pivotal role here, converting atmospheric nitrogen into nitrate, which plants absorb.
Indeed. The relationship between plants and animals in these cycles highlights just how interconnected life is. It all hinges on these cycles maintaining ecological balance. This makes conservation efforts even more critical as we aim to protect these processes for future generations.
Speaking of conservation, it's about protecting our current resources and using them wisely, so they remain available. There are countless reasons for conservation, from ensuring biodiversity to guaranteeing a continuous food supply and preventing pollution.
And the methods? They can be diverse. We can tackle pollution through legislation, waste management practices like recycling, and sustainable farming practices.
Not to mention sustainable fishing practices and responsible forestry. For instance, when trees are cut down, it's vital to replace them with newer sprouts. Remember, every little action counts.
There are pressing issues like landfills filling up quickly and taking ages to decompose trash, alongside visual pollution and unpleasant odors. So what's the solution? Well, reducing, reusing, and recycling is key.
Absolutely. And let's not forget using microorganisms for sewage treatment and composting, effectively returning nutrients to the soil. This closing the loop is crucial for healthy ecosystems.
What an enlightening discussion today. To wrap things up, we've explored how ecology helps us understand the intricate relationships and dynamics within ecosystems. We've covered key terms like ecosystems, food chains, niches, and the crucial roles of carbon and nitrogen cycles.
And let's not forget the importance of conservation. By understanding how our actions impact the delicate balance of ecosystems, we can make informed choices to protect the planet for ourselves and future generations. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep exploring and appreciating the wonders of nature.